talk to them guys, as long as you guys are okay with them going forward. And when the bills come up, you guys have to formulate it.
You guys okay letting Dean put gutters on the building out here?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't, it would cause a lot of.
Because I think Shelby had to move forward on a few things too, didn't she?
Yeah, well, yeah, she's moving ahead on the,
And Dave was gonna get his.
yep. But I said, I know officially we haven't okayed it.
I told him the projects you guys were okay with, but payments are still gonna come to you separately.
Yeah. Well, should we get started?
We should. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has anybody looked at the minute?
Yes. I didn't see any issues.
No, I didn't either. How about you?
Motion.
Okay,
And I will second.
all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Claims, I want to get into them?
Sure. I already asked a question.
Yep.
As to why we're using a locksmith from out of county when we've got one located here in Benton County, and what the large amount of work is for, but, that might show up.
Vendor on there again, and I'll try.
You know, lock and key.
If you want the,
No, I'll try to see if I can look on the invoice.
okay, thank you. It's under conservation.
We use John's lock and keys for other things, so.
Yeah. And that's pretty well what I know. Yeah, I mean, we've got our own locksmith here in Benton County. I don't know why we're not using someone that pays county taxes. I've used him, he's affordable. Other than that, I didn't see anything else. Gary, did you see anything?
Nothing other than what you had more.
I got one question. I'll let you, you can answer that first.
It says, a service call, locksmith labor, rekeying, swapping, retro, something aligning. And then it come with the keys and knobs and all kinds of stuff. And it was at Hammond. It looks like maybe.
Bring him out of Cedar Rapids for Hammond Lake.
And I don't know, that's just what I can try to guesstimate off of this.
I don't think there's anything in Hannibal walking out.
Was that a quote?
I don't know, but you could, I guess, call Shelby or ask her.
She's on vacation.
That's fine. Make a motion, we approve the claims.
Yes, I got one quick question here. On the rural services, page 4, Midwest patch, secondary road E911 sign, 1750. On that, and then my question is, and then on the same way, it's Midwest patch, E91 signs for the weed commissioner, I thought. No. Must be two different billings, never mind. Unless the order
Secondary road
different signs.
signs and,
Yeah, 1465,
yeah, I think they're just a sign vendor.
okay. Okay. All right, now I'll accept your motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Mark. So how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, you?
Doing well, thank you very much.
Hey, Mark.
You're welcome.
What we have here first on our agenda this morning is a request for a variance to the subdivision ordinance from Ron Boyer of Boyer Farms. And we're in section, let me get to it here, section 9. It's right up here, approximately northwest of Shellsburg, where this parcel is. Section 9 of 84-9, Canton Township. In May of 2020, Ron and his brother Rusty requested of me that they receive a farm exemption, or excuse me, an agricultural exemption to the subdivision ordinance, which I issued. At that time, in that plat that I gave to you, they created a parcel C. They never transferred it, but at this point in time, Ron would like to have that be a building site rather than remain used solely as agricultural, non-residential property. They drilled a well there, they started an orchard on some of that land there, but he would like to build a house on it here, and I told him that our ordinance specifically states, as does the exemption letter that I gave to them back when, that if the non-residential use ceases to exist, then they are subject to the provisions of the subdivision ordinance. And I told Ron then that the only way that we could approve that and let there be a building site there is if indeed they prepare a subdivision plat. Now, he's willing to do that, and he's willing to apply for a land use change. The land that's under review is not high CSR at all. So basically I told him that, due to the fact he's not on a hard surface road, we didn't feel that it would require that they do preliminary plat. We would take the approach, or I would bring it to your attention, that he requests a variance to those provisions that we've done in the past that would allow them to go ahead and split it, basically, and prepare a final plat, waived some of the other requirements of the ordinance, but he would prepare a final plat, and it would be done as a subdivision at that point rather than it having received an agricultural exception. So it's not creating, or excuse me, basically what happened here is that there's 3 parcels there right now, obviously. He did it with that exemption, but in order to be able to build on it for building purposes, we have to have a subdivision plat. So I was proposing that he ask you for a variance. Ron called this morning and he's ill. He just asked, that I go ahead and proceed basically for him. But we do this in the same manner that we've done before. If indeed you would approve of the variance, he would go ahead and apply for a land use change. And then if indeed he's successful with getting your approval for a land use change, then he would prepare a final plat and then bring that before you for a resolution accepting that plat. The building site would be in the north part of the parcel C. It would be right up in this area right here.
Yeah.
And then he has access coming in on the north side of the field.
Which shows you on C.
Yes.
Yeah. This must be, all this along the creek is all, looks like timber and scrubland anyway.
It is.
And this must be just a grassy area, I'm guessing, by the looks of it.
When you look at the aerial, that's a droughty area. That's a real sandy soil right there.
Okay.
And that's what's showing up on the
Yeah,
aerial.
you can see that there's not any rows in
No,
that area. It
no.
doesn't look like it does much, so.
And that's the area where he would ultimately like to be able to place the home. I think he wants to build a house there.
I sure don't have a problem with it. Show me again, or show both me again, what you're talking about.
The parcel C that was established is this area right here, Tracy, and then it comes in off of the road, so there is actually acquired access, so to speak, all the way back to that. This would be the area where he'd like to have the building site right there. And that's showing up in the area with that lighter color. That's a real sandy soil right in there. And the CSR drops dramatically. I believe it was like around 30 for CSR there.
Is that because of slope or because of the?
Just the sand. Yeah, it's just a real light soil right there. But anyway, this parcel was created, he never transferred it. But the parcel was created, like I said, with an ag exception there. That was the third split there. And he'd like to go ahead and build on it, and so that's why we're here.
So this is only 6 acres right here.
Right.
Got it.
The rest of the farm ground stays as farm ground.
Got it.
I need motion to grant variance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
By resolution, excuse me.
Okay, Kramer, aye.
Bierschenk, aye.
Seaman, aye.
You want to make copies, son?
I brought 4 copies, if we could get a couple of them at least signed, please.
I'll fire one. You got one? I'll start this one from this way. Get Gary in the middle, right? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job.
This is my,
Hello. Our watch was established.
this was, I think these probably go over here. There you go. One of those, yeah.
A couple of ones too, I think.
Hand that down to me, please. These barnuminiums or shouses are getting quite popular.
We have more and more of them.
Yeah. It reminded me of a fellow I showed houses to a few years back. He wanted to buy a garage with an attached house. Are these folks showing up today? Your knowledge, Bowman's showing up today?
I thought he was, but I don't see him.
Probably went to the courthouse.
No, he
No.
knows, yeah, he's been here before. I think he, did tell me that he might have a conflict, but
Sure. Can I give a quick report, sir?
Yeah.
Sure. No sense just sitting here. As you recall, Armin Martin from Urbana was in. He's the one that was here with the hate gap meals, etc. And I believe at that time he told us about the Boy Scouts and that they were doing a cemetery project with directories. And it looks like what they're going to get some news coverage, not only local papers but also television stations wanting to do a news story. And so they don't have a date set yet. Says here, local news people wanting to do a story about the directories that we are working on for both cemeteries east of Urbana. We're still patiently waiting for your response to let us know the size of the structure to be constructed for each one. And this is to the trustees, of course. So they're going to ask for representatives from the city of Urbana board, the trustee board, and they even asked about supervisors attending as well. So, kind of a stay tuned and hear more about this. So, very good.
Thank you. Thank you, the gentleman in black, all part of the
Man in black. So that's nice. See positive news. Seems like the only news we're getting anymore is that negative. I'm afraid you fellows are just like myself when it comes to your farming and our trucking. No, you pull up to the pumps and close your eyes. Good morning.
I've given you an application for a change in land use from Casey and Elizabeth Bowman. Casey's been here about a month ago before you. He requested a variance to the subdivision ordinance. We're on land about 2.5 acres. We're located in section 182-9 of Florence Township. It's going to be approximately right here. There's a house on this site. It was the old Warren Dennis place. Tracy, you remember it?
You bet.
There's a parcel there. The parent parcel is approximately 4.5 acres in size. Casey'd like to basically divide this more or less in half, build a new home on the west end of this parcel. And basically you can see on the attached aerial there what it is that he'd like to do and how he'd like to do that. Again, he was here before. He approved variance subdivision ordinance, and then we said that he'd be here for land use, and then ultimately he would prepare a final plat if you approved the land use change. This site, as you can see, is not in production. Soil here is a silt loam. It's fairly level ground right in there. The property has a CSR of 87, but it's not in production and hasn't been in production. Part of the old original farmstead. A new driveway will be installed here. Access to this particular site. It's found to have met all policy requirements and it's been approved by Randy Sherwood already. A new septic system is being proposed for this new dwelling. I don't anticipate any problems with that either, other than the fact that the soil is a silt loam. We see that soil sometimes doesn't have the best permeability. Sometimes we have to do what's called sand filter system there. But there is an existing system that's conforming for the existing residents there that sits behind that home now. He does plan to connect to the existing water well that would serve this. And again, this is part of the original farmstead, surrounded by basically agricultural land. This building site, as you can see, is kind of separated from the farm field by trees that are lining the property there, particularly on the north and west side. We notified 3 adjacent property owners of the request, and of course, we published legal notices in the newspapers of Benton County, and we did not receive any phone calls in advance of today's hearing about it. All in all, this proposal is a good fit as far as the land use ordinance goes. It's not taking any land out of production. It's basically utilizing what is a fairly good size pre-existing acreage. And so I don't see it having any negative impacts on anybody or anything there in that particular area. That road there does receive some traffic, about 50 vehicles a day. Shouldn't be any real problem for anybody. Casey, is there anything that you wanted to say that I left out?
Not at all. You covered it pretty well there, so.
Any questions about it?
Site distance, you know.
Site
is
distance
good.
is fine. Meets all of our requirements, Randy reported.
I know there's an existing driveway on the other property. I was just questioning, you know.
This is really relatively level, all the way from west to east, east to west, and through that area.
About a mile in there, as flat as can be.
Yeah.
Well, with that curb is the question I was asking. But when you go down to the legend there with, to show the, yeah, there's more than enough site distance. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. No problem.
Motion.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hold on, in case you want to give you what's called a compliance certificate.
Just call. Give them a flat one, right?
Yes, sir.
And as for the meeting that we discussed before, it
And
is
you're
June
good to go.
14th.
Awesome.
I found it.
Do I owe you any more money?
9/11/30.
Okay.
Partner meeting,
Okay.
invite only.
Okay.
And then 11:45,
So as soon as you've got mine, I'll
4:30,
give it to you.
lunch and a bus
Yes,
tour
what we'll
open to
do
the public.
is,
And this will
when
be out
they get that
See
drawn,
this
if they
form?
haven't already, they need
Whether
to
we-
submit it. We gotta
I'm
have,
guessing,
Who's sworn?
I'd say.
Casino?
about
Oh,
5
okay,
copies would be
I'm
adequate.
guessing they're doing it
If they have any questions, they can call me. That was, that is up for the board.
Yeah, if we all go.
Yeah, great.
There you go. They'll get that to me, and then what we'll do is we'll
Don't
just.
necessarily need to rub elbows.
We have to prepare. Morning, Brian. How you
Spend
doing?
most of
You
your
say where you want. We'll,
Only thing I did not
get a
find
resolution prepared.
earlier, I was saying,
And that doesn't.
This email.
You don't have to come.
Okay.
I think that if some people
Okay.
running for office, they probably want to attend.
Get that, get the resolution approved, and then you can go about getting that stuff ready to file.
Deputy Assistant Secretary of Grant Program is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
You don't have to post this or anything, just keep it in your file. You go
Okay.
through this process and you will approve.
Okay.
So, let's see here.
So I'll get final plat, once they get that to me, I'll get you 5 copies and get you a check.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if Angie has any issues or whatever, tell them to call me.
Okay.
Explain it to them or whatever.
10-4.
So I think that's it for today,
All right.
for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're welcome.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Casey.
How's it going, bro?
Pretty good yourself?
Not too bad.
Gary, you got anything to report? Report from last week?
That'll be Thursday.
In Heartland, I think I'll hold off a bit. It was a pretty lengthy meeting.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, we got 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
they'll be sending out the policies, or, the renewals, but, there's still having, quotes for the cyber coverage.
And whatnot.
It's
got aerials on there.
It is. gonna be
They've also
expensive.
got a copy of this,
They had kind of preempted us to, to expect on the property
copy of
coverage cost
30-foot easement.
to go up by
Running across
40%.
property, so they can see
Well, in
that.
reality, it
Even
went
though I
up
had a
about
phone call, but then they gotta bring
15%.
it up to them, it's no big deal.
So, yes,
But anyway,
let's do it. When you
I'm not
consider
gonna
the
see anything
inflationary
about
costs
plastic
that
construction
we're
is
currently in.
getting underway or not.
Uh,
Just move it
Why
ahead.
did they
I
think
did
it was
receive
gonna
a
go up
phone
40?
call from, maybe I told you this,
I don't know.
a neighbor that was
I honestly
wondering if
don't.
indeed was gonna be
I
on
mean,
it to build a
I don't know if it's the right
fact that
method
that
or if they
there's
had
garbage
facts and
out
figures
in
that
the being
state
out
that,
there and it was bad.
due to cost of materials being higher, et
I
cetera.
don't think that's gonna be
But,
an issue, because it'll all be reasonably.
we've been with-
Case, yeah, you know, well, Benton, yeah.
Genesis
So I'm not looking for an
for
issue with it.
39 years.
Shouldn't take very
the
long.
underwriter. Gallagher is the agency, of course.
I give them all
And
these
so,
aerials and things so they understand
They did a
where
good job
this
on
is at.
holding it down to 15%. The casualty end,
But
they
after
were
those initial
estimating
phone
up
calls,
to
I
a
never heard
25%
anybody
increase
else. Hey,
on that coverage for cost, ended up in
do you know
8%.
any of the board members?
And again,
Yeah.
that's more of an inflationary rate there. So, work comp, that's just relative. I mean, it has to do with the number of employees, et cetera. Benton County has, for all 10 counties, we have the highest number of employees in that 10-county group. So I was kind of amazed to see that. And so one of the biggest things has to do with our property coverage. About 10 years ago, Genesis changed the coverage on property damage from $30 million per county per occurrence to 30 million, period. Combined.
So all counties,
So in other words, when the wind blows through Tama County and comes to Benton County, if it wiped out both courthouses, we might be in trouble. And it's not gonna come in and just wipe out the total of Benton County and all the, secondary roads, this building, that, the courthouse, et cetera. And it's good to happen that way.
so did they reduce their cost?
Well, this was something that happened 10 years ago, and, water into the dam, nothing was said. And so we've been going along, not knowing any better or any different. And so Gallagher has checked, and there isn't any underwriters out there willing to do a 30 million per county unless you go to an individual policy, and then that does away with the cooperative sense of having 10 counties collectively. So there's some people on that board that have been there for 10 years plus, and they were really PO'd that it wasn't brought to anybody's attention. So, jury's still out, so wait and see what's gonna happen. But, very, very interesting meeting, and so that's just some of the problems when you have insurance. We all go through renewals. with the farms or our businesses, so we understand that, yeah. And none of this, at least on this board, at this point in time, are insurance agents or representatives, so it's, you get a packet that's that thick, holy cow. I don't know if you sit there and read every line on your insurance policies when you renew or not. And I don't. So that's pretty well it. Very interesting, very informative, and stay tuned. The cyber insurance is yet to come. That's it.
When do they think they'll get something ironed out? Couple months?
Renewal is on the 1st of July. And our next meeting's the 7th of July. And I said, well, that doesn't work. We're gonna have to get together at a special meeting here to figure out how we're gonna get this coverage handled. So we will have a special meeting at the end of this month and the first of next in order to get this taken care of and then out to the counties. So, yeah, it was, these dates don't compute, people. So, I was pretty vocal at that meeting for not being an agent.
All right,
Mark's got the floor again.
you got it.
Gentlemen and lady, this is Brock Munson. Brock, Tracy Stevens, chairperson of the board, Gary Gershank, Rick Primer,
Hello,
Haley Ripple is our county auditor, Brock Munson. Brock and Aaron Munson have submitted an application to you. They'd like to change the use of 2 acres, build a new home and an outbuilding at 5871 31st Avenue, Benton. The parent parcel here is 22.3 acres in size, and it lies along the west side of 31st Avenue, south of 58th Street Drive, which is the big timber road. This parcel's on the west side of 31st. It's approximately right here in the north part of Benton Township, section 16. The land that we're looking at today that Brock wants to develop is heavily forested. It's not in production. There's been a little bit of clearing occurring for the access and the building site. Soils here again are silt loam. And basically away from the proposed building site that he's showing you there in the aerial, we have some pretty steep slopes, approximately 18-25%. The area where he wants to build obviously is at the top of that, but there are some pretty good gullies in through all of that. There is no driveway that is proposed here that's needed coming off of Benton County's secondary road system because of the fact that Brock's mother lives just to the north of this parcel, and you can kind of see where her driveway comes in. He's gaining access from her driveway by way of an easement and then coming up the slope up to the top of the hill where he wants to have his building site. So no new driveway is proposed. Right up here along the road by his property, the ditch there is very deep, very deep. And so this all worked out quite well for him, as a matter of fact, as far as gaining access there. Randy did report to me that the driveway that they are using, that is his mother's driveway, meets all of our policy requirements. So there's no issue there whatsoever. This site will need a new well and a new septic system for a new home. And at this point, I would mention that we always send out adjacent property owner notices, and of course we do legal notices in the newspaper. We had a neighbor of this property call early on that wanted us to know that years ago there had been some dumping of solid waste in the area. This parcel was separated from the larger parcel, which was a 40-acre tract. This area is affectionately referred to as Red Brush area. And back in the day, there was some solid waste being deposited. This is before landfill days when it started. Basically, there was solid waste being deposited in one of the ravines, and the caller wanted us to be sure that we knew that that had occurred. Well, I knew that. It was ending primarily when I started working here back in the 70s. But the concern is drilling a well out there, is that going to be an issue? And I would tell you that from my perspective, I do not think that it will be an issue from the standpoint that with the elevation where he sits there, this slab will be a pretty deep well. And by that I mean it's going to be quite a ways down the bedrock as well. And the way wells are constructed now, when the hole is drilled to get into bedrock, casing is usually set all the way to that point. So if it's 250 feet to bedrock, there's going to be 250 feet of casing, and that casing is all sealed extremely well. And so from that standpoint, I don't think there'd be any interference whatsoever with this well. So I just wanted to mention that right off the get-go. Septic system, I would give my usual disclaimer. There's a possibility that it could be an alternative system due to the fact that the soils are the silt loams. They do not have a rapid permeability rate normally, and so we could end up with what's called a sand filter. A very common system these days, but nonetheless, it is classified as an alternative. Surrounding land uses out here, there are a lot of homes in the area. Up and down 31st Avenue, you go around the corner on 58th Street Drive, the Big Timber Road, start heading back west towards Big Timber, which is a mile from here. Roughly there's houses all up and down into this wooded area that exists out here. Obviously with the Big Timber Sawmill there, 58th Street Drive does carry a pretty good amount of traffic, but this road itself where Brock is wanting to build adjacent to, that does not receive that much traffic at all. We notified 9 adjacent property owners about this public hearing. Gives you a little bit of an indication of how many residences are out in this area. And of course, as I said, we did place notices, legal notices as required in the newspapers of Benton County. We did receive the call about the well. We also received a call about an easement, and I wanted to mention that to you as well. The last page, I think it's the last page that I gave you in this packet, the aerial, there it is. It's got his proposed site. Running across the northern boundary of that is the red dashed line that represents a 30-foot easement that was created for this parcel that's right here, which is owned by Red Brush LLC. Red Brush LLC did contact us, and they wanted us to know that that easement does exist. Matt in our office did research that. Very clear, it does exist. He drew it in on the aerial for you. I've talked to the gentleman that called. We are aware of it. They also have an easement though off from the west side, and that easement for that landlocked land that's owned by Red Brush in the middle, the easement coming from the west is actually the preferred access point because of the fact, back again, this accessing that easement off of this road would be no small task because of the depth of that ditch. Now, maybe in years to come, some arrangements could be made where they'd come off of rocks, but that's neither here nor there to us at this point. But I just wanted you to know that it was pointed out to us that there was an easement. They wanted to be sure, the owners of Red Brush LLC, that we knew it and that Brock wasn't building his home on top of that easement. I obviously called Brock. We spoke about it when we became aware of it, and I also called back all the people at Red Brush, and there's no issue that I'm aware of any longer with that. But they have an access easement from both sides of that parcel that is listed as Red Brush LLC. So I just, again, wanted to make you aware of that. There's no farmland obviously being taken out of production with this proposal, and I don't see any issues with surrounding land uses either. As far as Brock's building site there, most people in this area aren't even going to know he's there, as far as being able to see it or that type of thing. So from that standpoint, I think again it's a good fit with our land use plan, not taking any ground out of production. Shouldn't present any issues with any other farming operations either.
What type of easement? Is this a utility easement?
No, it's an access.
An access, okay.
Perpetual easement.
And so you wouldn't have a problem if they decide that someday they're building back here and use that for a roadway to get, a driveway to get out?
Yeah, anything reasonable, so to speak, you know, yeah, no.
Alright.
The easement runs along the fence then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but there ain't a driveway there.
No. I mean, it would certainly be much more feasible for them to come from the west. It's a lot shorter and a lot less ravenous.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the ditch would be quite as severe.
The ravine west of his home there too is significant. I
Sure.
mean, it's,
Mm-hmm.
it, like Brock says, this is a
Yeah.
mountain climbing almost. It's a real significant ravine.
My boy owns land out that way, so I'm familiar with the terrain.
How did they get the easement? I mean, that's on your property,
Correct.
and
It was with the former owner, Rex Thompson. Rex Thompson owned this ground for years, that's been referred to as the Red Brush area. And, some gentlemen bought this property last year, or the year before, and then they divided it. And, which was no problem because it was 40-acre tract, they just basically split it in half. And some people bought the existing building site, Brock bought the north half of that 40-acre tract. But the easement had been in place for several years with the previous owner of that, the gentleman named Rex Thompson. And of course, Brock bought it and it's got an easement on it, so.
I have no problem. I doubt anybody's gonna build a bridge over the ravine, so, yeah. So,
I don't look for it to be an issue, but these guys protected themselves with a piece of land that was landlocked, so.
well, I make the motion that we approve the land use change for Brock Munson.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
Attaboy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I'm gonna give you what's called a compliance certificate, so hold on.
Okay.
I remember that Red Brush area. They didn't cover the trash. We went out there one day, right after it rained. And you couldn't, there were rodents everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, you could take they were within 2-3 feet of you. Wow.
It's fairly well covered now.
Yeah. I was
There's just
by there
some-
the other day.
Old junk bumpers and, you know, metal bicycles and stuff like that. It could probably be cleaned up pretty easily, but
Yeah. A long ways.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Concludes our fun for the day.
You know, all these small towns used to have trash dumps.
I know. Benton used to be out there towards Hummel's curve out by the airport. So. One last thing on the Heartland Insurance meeting. One of the exclusions is PFAS. It's a chemical. That one example was the use of fire extinguishers,
Okay, the white powder.
evidently.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's an exclusion for insurance coverage for anybody with that.
So if you use it,
Don't squirt your neighbors. Somebody's on fire, don't spray them down.
Let them burn to death, eh?
them down, roll them around. I really wasn't sure what that chemical is. I didn't know if any of you farm fellers knew or not. But that was the only example they gave us. You don't have one in here. I think it's out in the hall.
Hello again. One of my team members is coming, but here it is.
Thank you. Okay. I think he's waiting for a team member.
We don't have to, we can start. I did, and then, I thought Val was coming, but she might not be. So she's gonna try. I don't know. I know she has about a zillion things to go to. Well, thank you for having me again. I feel like I've been in here more than I'm in my house sometimes. I am bringing forth before you today a proclamation to recognize May as Crisis Intervention Awareness Month. As you may know, May nationally is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month. Crisis intervention is not necessarily a form of mental health, but it's a form of kind of doing that immediate intervention of someone that is in a mental health crisis, or what we more try to do is preventing people from going into a crisis. So I, just in light of our team and trying to, get our name out there and make people aware of who we are, and we are a fairly new team in the county. That's why I'm bringing this proclamation to you to recognize as Crisis Intervention Awareness Month. And we did leave it broad because obviously we have, Shelby in a crisis intervention position, so it would also recognize her as well, because the county's taken a lot of steps over the last few years with her position, and obviously with our team to be better about utilizing crisis intervention services, because it's a very harsh world for mental health right now, and who transports hospitals EMS, where do they go, how long do they stay, what criteria do they have to meet, and crisis intervention is doing a lot to eliminate and alleviate some of that burden on all of those people. So, thanks.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't have anything else. I was just telling them that crisis intervention has done a lot to kind of alleviate the burden on everyone, because it's a big kind of harsh reality in Iowa of who transports, where do they go, how long do they stay, what criteria do they have to meet. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
It was a quick rewind.
Don't have nothing, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion that we declare May as Crisis Intervention Awareness Month.
Second. This is my resolution, so.
Vernon, aye.
Krusek, aye. Seaman, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Took him longer to walk down the hall.
I know. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, gentlemen. Thanks, Haley.
Yep. soccer game last night.
Okay, Dean.
All right, I emailed you guys, okay, first one is Bill Hawk, part-time driver. On approval to hire him, all 73 an hour, which is the chauffeurs, and then he'll work up to his, class C. Just to get him, someone in there to help drive with it. Like right now, I got, Susan Meyer, my full-time driver's been out she's in the office finally, doing work, but she's had, vertigo. She has been out since 3 months now, close to that. So the need for part-time drivers is there. I don't know when she'll be ready to drive. She just got released to do some office work, so she's been coming in and working 2 to 4 hours a day to do office work, but she's not released to drive, so that leaves a big void there. So getting him in would get me a, drive anything 14 passenger or less, so that would help out.
Right, take a motion. So moved. And I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second part, I emailed you guys yesterday, the contract, the service purchase contract through Easy Cogs, just our yearly contract, which we won't be buying anything from them for the next year anyways, I'm sure, so I can't get buses right now.
Oh, really? I thought you had one ordered or coming in.
No, I have one here.
Oh,
That's already,
the new one came in?
yeah, that one's here, that's going on the road here soon.
Okay.
I was gonna order another turtle top and about ready to get that signed, and they said they're not accepting any more bids. I said, well, I need to get one going. I said, let's move to Lavelle. A couple weeks later, they're not accepting bids. So no one's accepting bids right now because they're so upside down on price. So I think last time I heard they're looking at the state's gonna do the rebid on this. I hope it's sooner than later. I told them, I said, let me know as soon as you find out so I get something ordered. Because I need to get one ordered and then 2 more this next fiscal year. But right now, I just talked to the guy, he said he thinks it's 2 years out. Ambulances are worse than that. They can't get an ambulance chance to save them at all, so it's bad. Lavelle, which is, in El Dorado, they're under the umbrella of Forest River, and they get 1,000 board chassis a month, and they're lucky they can get 200 right now. Amazon's kind of stepping in there and yanking every chassis they can get right now.
So with your new bus that you have, I know you're supposed to rotate one out. Will they let you hang on to it for a spare?
I asked them about that, and they said, no, you're just gonna go with what you got.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
but that doesn't mean that something happens to one of ours that we go to Jones County or Washington County and borrow.
Sure.
Borrow, but I see in the past, we've let Washington County borrow one of ours in the past, so. I do have a van coming, so supposedly that's still supposed to be coming in the summer. That actually got ordered.
It's a smaller thing.
Yeah, the minivans.
Thank you.
So,
And sorry to get off track.
nope, that's fine.
And Tracy has a question on this.
Easy Cog, they do have a copy of our insurance then, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing I seen, my question was, the vehicles are titled in whose name?
They're titled in their name.
Easy Cog?
So whenever we sell one, we get the title from them.
Okay,
Like this last one, we paid zero money on it.
okay. And then when you sell one, who gets the proceeds from that?
We get a percentage of it. I want to say it was like 20%.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last one, I think there was about 20%
Yeah.
came back to Benton County.
Yeah. But we haven't paid a share on a bus or a van for the last 6, I think.
Yeah.
So
We pay for the decals though, right?
we pay for the details.
Yeah.
And the maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the contract.
Okay.
So if you're not gonna get any new vans for 2 years, the vans that you have, that you are gonna rotate out, are they gonna last 2 more years?
The ones I have, the oldest one I would have would be, we're running it for a school route. So that's gonna put the least amount of miles on it, so we should be all right. Everything else fairly new, which we're pretty blessed there. So,
Avoiding any accidents or,
correct.
you know, natural disasters or something like that. Yeah.
Not gonna live on that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So you need a motion to approve the signing of this contract?
Yep.
Then I'll make that motion to authorize your signature.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, come over and show me which one.
You be that one there. You can sign 2 of them, and I'll have to have them for my records.
You can just scan one too and I'll keep it.
Okay, I can do that. You want me to wait till I get their copy back?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
You need one of these copies? You need another copy of that?
Yeah, well, yeah, for her.
Right there it is.
Well, I'm gonna scan her one.
Oh,
When the Easy Cog signs theirs,
okay.
that way she'll have both signatures on it.
If you just send, maybe I'll need to just put it in it quick.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as I send that copy back.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
If you can just send me, if you have that on your computer, just send me that now too, just in case you need it or something.
Okay, I can do that. Will do. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Good,
sir.
Dean.
Oh, what about the ARPA?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Not
need
the
to get those.
generator, but the gutters.
Yes.
We discussed that, so.
Okay, awesome.
And then when you get those invoices, make sure we see them separately as well,
Okay.
because then I'll have them act on it individually too.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I'd like to see that done.
Yeah.
All right.
For our
Awesome.
next rainstorm.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
No,
Good lightning show when I was there.
Oh, last night.
Our first hot soccer game.
it was hot.
Yeah. Next week's supposed to be more seasonable.
I'll just sit on this for a while, see what you say.
I would say so. If it's up to me, I'd put a piece of tape on it and write it.
In your writing.
I'm getting some phone calls. On the gravel road north of Belfly. There isn't anybody taking the blocks off. They turn on the gravel before they get the blocks off. There's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit on that road now.
Yeah, but there's no signs there yet.
There's some. I drove this morning.
All right, well then, Myron said he was out of signs, and he's waiting for him to come in.
Well, whenever you get to the south end of that, it goes up to 45 right before it gets into Belle Plaine. I had a phone call, people want to get that down to 35, like the rest of the road. It's north of town.
You can run that by Myron when it comes in here. That 45's been there a long time.
I was there this morning. There's a lot of traffic.
And during the timeline, pretty good that I went with.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
People want that, oil on 30 down to Belle Plaine.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if they can do that or not.
I don't think that's the one that the state was talking about.
You know, I don't know.
That was north of,
I was thinking it was on the north side.
I do know one of the complaints I got yesterday afternoon was on that stretch you were calling me about, or talking about that. And last Friday was the cutoff day for the oil wasn't chipped.
For Benton County.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
I would think that if you get it down to 35, I drove 35 there this morning, there isn't a lot of dust. At 35 mile an hour, you can see it. I mean, you can see.
So right now there isn't that much dust because we've been getting a lot of rain. The roads are all hard packed until the maintainer comes along and rips them up and.
But right north of Belle Plaine there, where it is oil, or where it was oil, with the increased traffic, it's gonna cause problems.
It's yours. I've seen them.
Oh, Gary's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, I grabbed them all.
It's fine.
Yeah. As for the reviews, I got some of the reviews done. I got 2 left to go yet, so.
Should work out pretty well with, Kirsten. Is that your number?
She had, I just been one-on-one.
Oh, really?
That's the way I did it. I got a form, if you want to look at it, we can talk about it after Myron here, he's here.
Yeah.
The way I did it, you know, I'm not the running the pack or whatever, you know. I give them a copy of the form, and I kept a copy. I said, you guys fill it out the way you see fit. I'm gonna fill it out what I think what you're doing, and then we're gonna compare notes, and that's what we did. Yeah, you know, to me, it's,
Worked it.
yeah,
Well, that way you got both of them already filled out.
yeah,
Easy to turn into
yeah, right.
HR.
I mean, so far, and I haven't had time to, we were gonna get together Thursday, me and Myra, and that didn't happen, and then Friday, when I was up here texting the room, I got pretty white, blowing the stuff on the walls, and I didn't think Myra would want me out there flaking off in his office. All right, Myron, whenever you're ready.
Bridge replacement project being designed for 55th Street. That would be the north of the sand pit, north of Benton, back around the corner to the west. It's currently a pony truss west of Henry's Welding Shop.
By Henry's.
To the point where we need a board signatures on the title sheet. We talked about it, I'm sure, at the budget and just 5-year construction plan. So,
That one's the one you just got done?
Hmm?
That one hasn't been done yet?
not that
No,
one.
not that
We just
Oh,
built
we
the
did
line,
another one.
the old concrete small bridge that was just south of the railroad tracks just before you get to the entrance to the same pit.
That's what I was.
What about the other steep end?
But Calvin Burns and Associate has done the design work on that bridge. DOT has approved, or looked at the plans, ready for final submittal for a 90-foot long by 30.5-foot wide concrete slab bridge. Estimated cost just under $700,000. But the bridge replacement money would be used to fund 100% of that.
So you need a motion to authorize the signing of that?
Yes, please.
You got it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cool.
I don't know what traffic count is out there, but they do get significant traffic.
Depends on what river level is. Both portions of that road and 22nd Avenue are such that when the river is up, they are underwater. So there's considerable amount of bill material and cost that would be needed to raise both of those. That I think you feel that it's just as well we think where they're at right now. Info. You know, Gary, if you had a chance to talk to anybody, I don't remember. I sent you an Ames the other day when you stopped in my office, but the Highway 21 project, closure project, I think is being administered by the Marshalltown resident office. This Dustin is who I have talked to recently about dust control on 72nd Street Drive, North Highway 30. But I know that south of Highway 30, there has been some increased traffic also.
I think the fellows were just discussing that.
And the speed limits that we, you go on the Marshalltown office, but directly north of Belle Plaine, where the golf course is, 11th Avenue Drive isn't highlighted on that map. It's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. I mentioned that 2 weeks ago. I visited with one of the residents in that mile yesterday, asking the question, why not include it with the 35 miles an hour, whereas you did all of the rest of 11th Avenue Drive all the way up to Highway 30. I said it was mentioned when I know I mentioned it when I talked about the resolution 2 weeks ago, but the action was taken to just include the highlighted area. But I told him I would bring it to your attention and ask. I have drafted a resolution to address that 1 mile for 35 miles an hour. If you wanted to proceed with that, I think our agenda item on your agenda today would allow for that.
So move.
It makes sense and be less confusing.
Yep,
Yeah, and I would second that.
by resolution, so.
Remember, I,
Even
and we're talking right down here.
Yep,
And
and I just identified resolution number 2232, which you passed 2 weeks ago, that talks about the temporary speed limit on many Benton County secondary roads around that intersection. This particular one is also seeing increased traffic. So, by resolution, putting a temporary speed limit on that at 35 miles an hour between 76th and 77th Street on 11th Avenue Drive. And after the interchange at Highway 21 is opened up, the 35 would be reverted back to the 45.
Good. Perfect.
Or is it amend the old one? Is that what you're doing?
I did it separately. I didn't, I guess, amend the other one. I just,
I might change it. I'll just say we're amending the old one. Is that okay? Or you want to leave it like that? Usually when we do a new one, we amend the old one.
or it could be tweaked yet.
That's the easiest.
probably amend the other one, then we'll refer to the new one versus that other one.
This one's only a mile, the other one's probably, what, the other one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, so you wanna keep that in place then?
The difference between this mile and the other ones that were passed 2 weeks ago, this one has an existing speed limit on it. And I'm
Okay,
going
let's
back
just do a
to,
separate one, okay.
going back to that speed limit.
Yeah, I thought you were just changing the whole route.
I did not. I actually added this, I guess, to that one. Oh, maybe I was parking in your parking lot this morning. I was in your building early yesterday morning, and I was told that sometime yesterday it would be opened.
And then start on that side?
They're supposed to, yeah. Why? Probably they're scared because I said I don't want them to start till Tuesday after 4 o'clock.
This is my resolution.
Already did it.
Yeah.
This is the resolution. You read.
I don't need to change it up.
We don't need to pass.
That's all I had for you today. Unless you had any questions.
How are we gonna handle the dust control where the people have already put dust control down? And it's gonna get tore up or with all the traffic. That'd be right north, that'd be right down there where this sign is. I don't know how that all works.
Wouldn't that be kind of a Marshalltown question? You know, would they go back in and resurface or repair what was done?
I don't know.
Not sure exactly what you mean by your question, Gary, but, I know that,
Right north of Bell Point,
yep,
right where we're over the speed limit.
yep. Those two residents have purchased Benton County Dust Control.
Oh, they have already?
Yep,
Okay.
so that'll get prepped for Benton County Dust Control product and put down. Whether the DOT is participating in any dust control south of 30, I had talked to this Dustin, I think probably about a week before, Gary, you met with those neighbors in that area. And they had indicated, the DOT had indicated they were doing north of 30, but they had no plans at that point to do anything south of 30 because all of their calls had been coming from north of Highway 30.
Okay. Well, if it's all handled, it's all handled, I guess.
And so they're putting down, or they have contacted a dust control contractor to put down chloride in front of those places north of Highway 30. These two residents on 11th Avenue Drive, not knowing, concerned with the deadline that we had last Friday for dust control sign up and not knowing whether the DOT was participating in the cost for dust control, would prefer the Benton County product and pay for it than take the chloride product that might get paid for by others.
So they're all signed up and everything's good about that. On them.
From a dust control application, yes. So you say from the speed, we just talked about that.
In that 1 mile section with 2 residents.
Well, there's more residents too there.
There's more than 2. There's 2 that are real close to each other that put down 600 feet between the 2 of them and split the cost that way.
But it's not the whole mile.
No. But there's more than just 2 residents on that mile of roadway.
And north of 30, the DOT's not gonna do the whole mile or it's more than a mile there. They're not gonna do it all, they're just gonna do it in front of the residents.
Residents in the intersections.
So south of 30, you may be getting calls regarding dust, since the state is doing nothing south of Highway 30.
I don't know how many residents there is from 30 to Belle Plaine. Not on here.
But
The only ones that I've had contact with is the same ones you've had contact with. So,
And you had one of them in your office yesterday afternoon, like,
Yes. I talked to the other half of the household earlier in the day, and the two of them had talked to their neighbors, so yes,
they talked to me too.
they talked about everybody, didn't they?
They got her done. I don't have nothing. Oh, one little quick, I seen this Sunday night, the red flashing light north of Newhall at the curve on the yield sign. The battery must be dead, or else, yeah, it's gotta be dead because it was Sunday night at 9 o'clock. And the amber one, the first one to alert you, was working fine, but the red one was not flashing at all at 9 o'clock Sunday night. So,
Okay.
give me a heads up. I was gonna call Randy, and it slipped my mind.
all right.
All I got.
I'll make a motion when you adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.